So welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Monday, March the 15th, 2021, and their call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And give Michael just a moment to get dialed in, and I'll direct you to our website, which is whyagain.org, and press on either the Start Here or the Bullseye, and that both take you to the same place, and you'll find all of the worksheets. You'll find links to specific MP3s that we've pulled from radio shows. There's lots of links to outside links and suggestive reading and listening and audios and videos and just lots of information. I had announced the other day it'll be probably a few more days, and the website's going to be changing, so you could run into a few little glitches here and there, but just give us time and it'll all correct. If you do find something, please drop me a line at Jeanie, Jeanie, at whyagain.org, and let me know if you find a URL that's not working, and I'll see to it that it gets corrected. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Honored that you're here with us. Delighted to have the next layer and the next level of this conversation about first century Aramaic forgiveness and all of the gifts that it brings us. And we are on page 45, if you're following along in the book, of Why Is This Happening to Me Again, chapter 8, on projection and externalization. And so we're looking at this idea that when we deny something in our lives, we end up creating pictures out of the very thing that's inside of us that we've denied. We literally turn that data, that digital information into pictures, and that by doing so, we think we're avoiding having to deal with whatever it is that we've denied, but in fact, we get to deal with it over and over and over again. So Richard responds to this idea of, what does blame do to me by saying, if I understand correctly, by blaming you, I expect you to be responsible for my reality, even though it all comes from inside my own mind. If I try to control you through punishment, I'm kidding myself into believing that by changing you, I will never be forced to experience my pain again. Is that what you're saying? And I offer back, yes. Changing someone else cannot change your reality. Only you can initiate and carry out that process. Only you can change what is in your mind. It also takes a lot of energy to keep up the lie, the projection in place, and prevent truth from entering your awareness. So when we stand in the space of denial, we literally have to use a certain amount of energy just to keep that information, that truth down. Truth always wants to come forward. And so people continuously weaken themselves by the quality of energy that they're avoiding and therefore holding inside, and the energy that it takes to keep it suppressed. And so what we're looking to do with this material is to come to the point of understanding that when I liberate the dissociated energetic patterns that I've been holding in my mind, when I free myself from them, everything begins to change. The energetic content of my mind changes, the patterns out of which I reflexively act change. And life just gets better. And so that's the bottom line of this idea of what it takes to stay in the state of denial. And, I've actually considered that Congress passed a law naming that state, having a 51st state, because most people live there. It's a state of denial. And, of course, we could also, get a 52nd state going, because as a result of the denial, people live in confusion. So the state of confusion, the state of denial could be the 51st, 52nd state here in the United States. I mean, you look at the public discourse that's going on right now, you look at the hate, the fear, the rage, the guilt, and it's interesting. Everybody that's out there raging about it, nobody's responsible. It's all somebody else's fault. Children just raging at everybody else for what's going on inside their own minds. Interesting game. So we're here to bring light to that game, to change that game, and to awaken from the world of hostility and fear, and to get back to the space where our minds are quite literally given permission to show us the truth. And we actually live in truth. Life gets so much easier. But when we live in denial, and our definition of denial, I say this just about every show because it's so important. Our definition of denial is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's moving inside of me. I'm in denial, and when I'm in denial, I have to hide something from myself. Hiding takes a lot of energy and leads to so much aberrant behavior. It's just outrageous. So we're here for correction. And when you realize that hostility or fear is part of the output of your mind, then you have to come to the point where you recognize that, when there's hostility or fear in my mind is telling me that I'm using corrupt data and I'm living in a lie. So what's the first step in correcting that? I have to collapse the lie. Well, how do I collapse the lie? Well, 2,000 years ago, a man named Yeshua presented a tool. The tool was called forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is meant to collapse your mind's lies and give you the opportunity to access and remove what's underneath those lies. Every hostile or fearful perceptual construct of mind has a lie in it. It amazes me how many people have worked with this work for years, decades, and still believe that their minds, when in hostility or fear, are telling them the truth. Yeah, I'm peeved at you, but my mind's telling me the truth about you. Excuse me, if you're peeved at me, your mind's telling you the truth about you, so tell me the truth about me. And so when I recognize that and I start applying forgiveness, I collapse my mind's lies. When I collapse my mind's lies, I open a pathway to get to the root of what my mind is lying about. And I get to change the game. So we are here for one purpose, and that's to change the game. And we're glad that you're here to be part of the process. So, Miss Jeannie, I know that's a short introduction, but that's all right. I'm here to see if we've got any hands up, if we've got anything happening in the phone queue, or anybody with a question in the chat room.
No questions in the chat room. There is a hand up, and
Awesome.
It's area code 610. Is this Susan?
It is. Okay, I got a question.
Hey, welcome, young lady.
Hey, thanks. Welcome to you, too.
What's happening?
Well, I know that we're not separate. I mean, I believe that's true. My experience is that we are separate, but I'm just looking at if we're not separate, how do we stay clear? We do the forgiveness work. We withdraw our codependent ensnarements with other people. So I've pictured that right up till now as a way of separating myself. For instance, my trigger is as usual. I have two boys in my life right now. My son, who texted me this morning and said, "Very hard day. I'm really struggling," and I know all about what that is. And then I have a grandson, Lukey. You know him. His brother went to visit him. He came home saying Luke's girlfriend is leaving him. And in addition to that, and partly because of that, Lukey is extremely depressed. So to my panic, and I do my worksheets, but I'm juxtaposing my upset and fear against the fact that we are not separate. Can you tell us how we are not separate and how we are separate or whatever. Can you just speak to that? That would be great.
Well, I will do my best. And the place I'd start with would be the affirmation from minds such as Einstein, that you've heard me quote this one 1,000 times. If you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we take that statement at face value, then what is the optical delusion? The optical delusion is the image separated by our minds, or pardon me, constructed by our minds, that shows us that we're separate. Now, so you and I, and certainly everybody that I know, and I suspect probably anybody that any of us know, were brought up in this belief that I have a body over here and you have a body over there and we're separate. The optical delusion is, or can be corrected, if we could raise the rate of vibration at which our eye receives information, and our brain then could generate a picture world that would show the energetic connectedness. That would be the resolution. But in the meantime, what we're going to need to overcome is 1,000 generations of building cultural beliefs, perceptual constructs, and language based in separation. And you know, you've seen me use the example. In fact, I used it in the codependence workshop in the intensive. We have an airplane sitting at the airport on the tarmac. The airplane propellers are spinning. We bring somebody from the jungles of South America, and he looks at the airplane propellers, and he describes to us the shiny silver disc that he sees. Now, we know there's no shiny silver disc there. We know that is a construct of his mind. We know that the airplane propeller is a pivot point with 4 arms spinning around it. And he can say 1,000, 10,000, he can write 100 books about the shiny silver discs on the front of that plane, but not one word he's going to speak is going to be true. So, you know, when I say I'm going to understand this connectedness from the mind that has been flooded for eons with separateness, I'm now back into the mode of trying to figure it out. And I can't figure it out. I can collapse the perceptual outputs of the mind until I can start to at least question them. I can weaken their energy, but I'm going to have to go to, quite likely, a different place than my mind to come to some experience of that connectedness. And, of course, one of the tools that we offer is the tool of forgiveness, the tool that collapses those perceptual outputs and gives us at least maybe a momentary taste of connectedness to love. But I'm going to have to go to a different set of senses than I'm probably going to get to in any kind of reasonable time frame to be of any service to my son or my grandson. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael. I listened
no,
to
nothing to be
word.
sorry for. No, I'm with you. I hear, I understand that you're in pain. I got it. The pain is up in your mind. And, you know, it can be a challenge to step out of that kind of pain. And words are going to be all of the words we've got. You know, if we're talking to the community of people who's standing on the tarmac looking at the shiny silver disc, all the words they've got are about shiny silver discs, and the shiny silver discs don't even exist. airplane propellers exist. So I'm with you. We've all been steeped in the pain and the trauma of separateness. And the walk, I would offer, is a combination of collapsing the pained realities I'm experiencing and strengthening and stepping into this place of love that I'm experiencing.
I guess where my question started was, since we're not separate, and since my son's experience, whether truth or not true, right now, his reality, whether true or not true, is pain. And if we're not separate,
right.
I'm there too. Yeah. So I don't want to be there.
Well, can I add something?
Please, Jeannie, go for it.
Sure.
Okay, think of, and maybe this is not accurate, but this is what I thought of. So let's say that you smashed your finger, cancel the thought, on your right hand.
Yeah.
And it hurts. But that doesn't mean the finger on your left hand has to hurt. It's all one body. Like we have all these parts and pieces that are separate or individualized, but it makes up one body. And so we are connected and we are all one, but because one part is hurting doesn't mean the other part has to hurt. Is that? I don't know.
That's a good stab. I appreciate all the
right
approaches.
on
I need them all. The thing is, though, and I heard that, Jeannie, and I'm going to apply that. There is a consciousness that is an umbrella over both the left hand and the right hand. And yes, the finger doesn't have a consciousness in the left hand that knows or doesn't know the pain of the right hand finger. But the overriding consciousness knows about the good finger and the bad finger. And there is a concentration, slight blood running to the hand in the avicen. There's blood running to the pained finger. My consciousness and my heart have run to my grandson and my son, and the pain, I feel the pain there. I understand about holding a loving space, and I do. And I also just feel incredible grief for them. And I just don't know how to get my balance right now.
Let me ask a question. And Jeannie, I think that's a perfect analogy because individuated doesn't mean separated. And the question I would ask at this point, Susan, is if you were to step back and observe your mind in operation and look at the level of grief, and it sounds like maybe some fear in there too, that you're experiencing. If you were to go back to, when did you have this conversation about the girlfriend leaving and the conversation with your son? Is that within the last day, 2 days, 3 days?
Yeah, this morning I heard from my daughter. My daughter about Lukey, and my son sent me a text because I sent him the Course in Miracles lesson every morning, and he reads them, and he wrote back, and I'm just struggling today.
Yeah.
So
let's go back to yesterday.
Yeah.
If you look at the quality of pain that you're in, and pain is a reflection, I would offer, of content moving within your structure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that quality of pain before you heard from either your son or your daughter today?
No.
So not yesterday, not last week, not last month, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, not 30 years ago, not when you were taking antidepressive medication. You've never known that quality of pain.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, I have. Yeah.
So then my offering would be that it is your denial that has you thinking that the pain you're experiencing now is caused by what they're going through. Because you knew it.
Yeah, I understand.
Probably before either of them were even born, your son or your grandson.
Yeah.
And if at the point where you conceived your son and your daughter, you had not resolved that pain, then it was instilled into the genes of your son and your daughter and into your grandson and into on and on it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, be careful that you don't go into, oh, you mean I'm to blame? Because that's not the point. The point is that when I remember our definition of denial, and this is one we've gone through many times, is whenever I think or speak as though something outside of me, my grandson's condition or my son's condition, is a cause of what's moving inside of me, my pain, then I have to dissociate from and hide from the root of my pain. And my offering would be, this is your call to bypass that whole denial system and go, here I am, back visiting this pain that I knew so well when, and whether it was last week or 25 years ago or 50 years ago, I'm now back in full acquaintance with that pain. And the cause of that pain that's moving in me is what's moving in me. And to best serve my life force, and life, remember, our definition is love moving through a cell, then my work is to go in and remove, face, whatever thought disorders caused this pain in me whenever I've experienced it previously. Remove those so that the flow of life, the flow of love through the cells in which that memory was stored is restored, and you can stand in the space of your grandson's pain or your son's pain and actually function as love. But as long as you're in denial, the very part of you that these experiences are uncovering, and my offering is the reason these experiences keep going on in our lives, it's the essence of my book. Why is this happening to me again? The reason it keeps going on in our bloodline if we never resolve it is because they're energetic patterns that we hold through which we unconsciously create our lives. So my offering would be, this to me sounds like a very deep call to you to go to another depth of your work, to clean up another part of your mind so that you, as the grandmother, as the ancestor, as the matriarch of this family, can stand in that space of love and be the space where resolution can occur for both of them. My offering is that's the call. That's what you're being called to do right now. You're not being called to suffer for them. You're not being called to suffer with them. You're being called to resolve whatever energetic patterns moving in you from any time in your life or in your generations, in your genes, to face that, to clear it out. Jeannie and I were doing a still point session yesterday morning. There's been a whole new level of energy moving in our relationship and in our family and in our household of this presence of love. And yesterday morning, I took Jeannie through a still point session, and Jeannie reached probably the deepest still point that I've ever seen her reach. And when she came back, and you've seen people come back from still point with a gasp, and she came back with a gasp and such a shocked look on her face. I said, Jeannie, what's happening? What just happened? Do you want to share the words that you said, Jeannie?
I think I at first said there was no breath, or I was out of breath, or I don't remember now. I'd have to go back and re-listen because we did record it. But it was more like being
the words
yanked.
I'm looking for, your words were such sorrow.
Oh, yeah. Afterwards, it was just like I just started crying, and I've never done that after a still point, and it was just a deep, deep sorrow, but it was like being yanked back into reality, out of actuality, and it was painful. My whole body started shaking, and I've never had an experience like that. It was like just totally leaving love. I don't know how to explain it. There are no words.
Sounds as if you had one of those near life death experiences.
It was something else, I tell you.
Well, you've heard me explain before, Susan, the power person dynamic, the moment in which we give up our created essence being, love, for this coagulated image in our minds from thought disorders implanted and played out by the power person dynamics. The moment where we fall into identification with that non-being self. One instant, the body, the energy system is fueled by bliss and pure being, pure love. The next instant, literally, when being falls into identification with this false self, it's now being run by pain and trauma and fear and grief and rage. And, I can't repeat the voice with which Jeannie said the words, but the words were, such sorrow is what she touched into and went into processing, opened up to process. But what I believe she was doing was she was facing that moment where she as an individual gave up being, and she tasted being and then looked at what it was like to lose that, and that was the sorrow.
Wow.
And it's a piece of work that I've seen so few people approach, but ultimately we all have to do that piece of work.
Wow. That's amazing.
And so my offering is there's a bigger picture going on here for you and call for you. And, I was recounting, I was going back because I've said this before without necessarily thinking about it too deeply. But what I said to Jeannie, actually I said 3, but it's actually in 50 years of doing this work, I've seen 4 people who've approached that single piece of work. 2 of them were in the room yesterday, Jeannie, as she did it, myself, as I did it decades ago, which was really like the next stage, the next level of my inspiration to do my work, because out of that experience for me came the excited expression of, oh, I knew there was another place to live. I knew it, this is it. Wow, it's been worth doing all this work. And the instant feedback that I got was, well, Michael, you've gotten to taste it. But if your instrument, referring to my body, my energy field, is not ready to do it, then if you choose, and you could choose to stay here, then you'll burn it up. You'll destroy yourself. At which point I said, okay, I'll go back and do my work. One other person that I've seen approach that piece of work, turned tail and ran and went in the other direction, literally disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th person that I've seen it, you've met him, you've spent time with him, you heard him doing it here on the show back last year. He's the 4th person in 50 years that I've seen approach that piece of work, and that's Peter. And after the summer intensive 2 years ago, he went back home and he kept working and working, and we did a show, and that's right exactly where he was. And if you remember, I picked up the phone after the show and called him in Sweden, and I don't remember how long we spent on the phone processing that moment, that piece of work. It's such a monumental piece of work to do. And, all of the painful experiences of our lives and of our generations are calling us back to clean up that moment. And when we do, then in a whole new way, we show up in our own physiology, in our world, and in our family systems as the created essence we are, as love. That's what your son and your grandson need.
Say that again?
And I say that's what your son and your grandson need, is someone who can be that space. And that's the idea of this community, remembering that the words kingdom of heaven were mistranslated by the Greeks. It means the community of love. That's what this radio show is about. That's what this community, that's what we're building, is a community of support so that we can be there and hold the space for each other as each of us approaches those deeper and deeper and deeper levels of work. And the people in our lives need a community of support where that presence of love can show up.
Wow, if only 4 people have done it. This seems overwhelming.
Nobody
I feel
has
as
the
if
technology. Susan, it's only, I'm not sure exactly when, but 8 or 9 years ago that I've been able to explain how, after 50 years of doing this work, about 40 at that point, that I've been able to understand what forgiveness is. That's how long it took me to understand it. And I'm still explaining it, and I'm still understanding it, and I'm presenting to people who still believe that I'm supposed to let you off the hook for the pain that's happening inside of me and calling that forgiveness.
Yeah.
It hasn't been on the earth that I know of in any real functional way until 8 or 10 years ago. And what we're inviting, when you realize, we've got 1,000 generations in there of this non-being mind, and it's moving in a direction. Its direction is inertia bound, like the battleship. You don't turn the battleship around when the captain says, turn the ship around 180 degrees. It might take 2 days if the battleship's going full speed forward because of its inertia to turn around. And we're appealing to one mind at a time to turn their ego structures around and do something different. You are one of the most dedicated people that I've seen since you picked up these tools at doing it.
And Michael, I feel as if...
No, I'm listening.
I feel as if I am doing it, and I have done it. But when you say that about Jeannie's deep experience, I guess my question is, can we both fake it till we make it and also get it in increments? I don't want to depend on my own prowess or my own or grace or anything. I feel as if my grandson and my son need it now, and I don't have it right now. I want to give it to them right now. I want to give it to myself right now. I want to open to it right now. All that's going on in my head.
Just like you needed it 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when you needed it. And we all did. It's so amazing. There are memories coming up that are pre-verbal. Yep.
I guess
that's where it lies.
It
it's a pre-verbal experience. And it's the root of the deepest rage that any of us have ever experienced, is that instant. And, it's so profound that in the scriptures they talk about it as, well, when God kicked us out of heaven because of Adam's sin, he placed these creatures that would block us from ever getting back in, the seraphim and the cherubim, and they were going to block the gates to heaven so you couldn't get back in. Well, guess what? That's just more blame of God. God didn't place anything to keep us from that. We put our rage, our pain, and our trauma at the gate, and it's not until we have the skill and we're willing to do the work to dismantle that rage and pain and hate and grief that block us from living there and going back in. We place them there. And each step that you take is another piece of work toward opening that gate again. And yes, we all want it yesterday for ourselves, and of course, even more so for our children and their children, as I think about my own kids and, my granddaughter who'll be over here in a couple of days. To me, that's been the inspiration for me continuing to be committed.
Yeah.
Because surely there are easier ways to live. Not really, but in the ego world, it sure appears that there are easier ways to live.
Yeah.
So to me, it's that we're having this conversation right now is the blessing to you that you can open it on another level of yourself and hold the space on another level and know that this whole community through you is holding the space for both your son and your grandson and their realization, their awakening. And the Course talks about the holy instant, the instant where it can all be changed. I was doing a still point session about a week and a half ago, and I shared some of it, but I don't know whether I shared this part or not. I think I did, but to repeat it, I had an issue coming up, and I'm working on it, and I'm working on it out of myself with the tools that I have. And it's like slogging, and this is difficult. And I don't want to face this, and I don't want to feel with this, and I don't want to deal with it. And all of a sudden, love just came into this, like on the next breath, love just came into the space. And the whole issue that I was working on, that was moving physiologically for me, was just lifted, like, bingo, it was gone. And I was like, oh,
wonderful.
God. Oh, my God, in that presence of God, in that presence of love, if I can let it in, the deepest piece of work is just delight and joy, and it's easy. Now, the next time Jeannie gives me the look and my stuff comes up, I may not remember that it was so easy in that moment, but in that moment I got that if I could let it in, if I could, another insight that came with it was that I realized that, the way we treat other people in our relationships is the way we've treated God. It's just a reflection. Yeshua says, if you've done it to my brother, you've done it to me, to the least of them. And we got to change the way we do that. We got to change the way we're treating love, and create a welcome space for it, even and especially when we're looking at trauma in ourselves or in our world. But we don't usually turn to that presence of love as though we actually trust God in the moment of that trauma. We turn to the trauma-based mind that's resonated by that trauma.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So I take that breath with you and welcome love's presence. And where you and I don't know how to do it, that love does.
That's the thing.
And
I don't know how
trust
to
it.
do it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
None of us do. Go back, let's listen to Yeshua. He gave us a lesson of myself, I do nothing. I go to the Father within. The Father within does the works. I'm trusting the presence of love in me because the truth is I don't have a clue.
You should hear my daughter. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Tell me.
Called this morning about her youngest son who had visited her oldest son and come home with this report. And the report, I feel as if a hand grabbed me by the heart and just squeezed it, hearing about Luke. Yet she's talking to me, and I say, how are you doing with this, Kathos? And she said, I've got to let him just do what he needs to do. This is what he's going to do. I'm staying okay. Otherwise, I'm being codependent. I thought, whoa, my daughter is so wise. And I'm doing deep breathing and doing tapping as I'm walking in. She says, Mom, I know you don't like this. And I said, I don't like it. She said, just let him be, let him be. And even if he dies, let him be. And he may. He doesn't want to be living. Let him be. Let him be. Let him be.
That's trust.
Yeah.
He's certainly moving into trust.
Yep. That's what she says. She says, thank God for God. I just put it to God.
Yep.
I screwed up terribly, and I just can't do anything about it, and I'm putting it to God. God has a plan. And she doesn't say that lightly or blithely or anything.
That's true trust developing and moving.
Mm-hmm.
So the question you ask yourself is, when I hear that, what comes up in me that says, no?
It's more
That's
like I want to. Right.
Yeah. But the important part is the part that comes up that says no, that needs to be forgiven in me because I'm in resonance with that type of pain and I haven't resolved it yet. Those memories that you're talking about that are coming up that are pre-verbal, that's what you're being called on to bring forward to the presence of love and forgive, remove.
Yeah.
So I breathe with you and invite you on still another level to really hook into the trust that your daughter has. It sounds like she's your way shower on that one.
Yeah.
And I remember working with a family. Say again?
Go ahead. She also learned from her son, her younger son, how angry Luke is at her for not protecting her, and how angry Luke is that she is as bad as her husband, that they both did terrible things. I mean, she has taken a lot of verbal blows since her younger one came home, and she seemed okay. I hope she stays there, but she seemed so okay with all of it that she can't do anything. She cannot by herself do anything anymore about any of it.
No. Read to you that little piece that I wrote in a still point session, or just out of a still point session, about what's been locked in bone. In fact, let me go to that. Just a second here. So that's where I got, the session was where I got the definition that life is love flowing through a cell. And then the request that I was directed to give was, let all the pathways for your love be opened in me, for life is moving through me. And then what came was, energy set by generations in bone takes time to release, time to heal, and or it takes grand willingness. If you do not know what I mean by quote-unquote set in bone, just pay attention to your thoughts the next time you clench your jaw, your fist. How much suffering, how much clenching in 30 generations, and 1.6 billion people of my or your ancestors. Are you willing to open and embrace all that has been locked in bone? My response when I was asked that question was, yes, I'm willing to open every shuttered jaw, gut, and fist, every held breath in my bloodline, so that the pathways of the power of God's all-embracing love and presence are opened in me.
Beautiful.
And I realize I can only rely on that. I will send it to you.
Thank you. Everybody.
I realize
not just me.
I can only rely on that. For my minuscule self that thinks it has power to handle every dissociated energy in my bloodline, I just. Now I understand why I'm wholly reliant on you.
Holding what?
Wholly reliant. What happened to me in that moment, wholly, totally.
Yeah.
What happened to me at that moment when I said, okay, I'm ready to handle it all, it's like this dark abyss opened that was just like the size of the universe. I'm looking down into it. And I can see literally the energetic patterns of my ancestors. I can see the light of each of them, and they're just immersed in such darkness.
Oh, man.
And it was so, like, there's not a word big enough. It was so enormous. It was so eternally present that in that instant I understood why the ancient saints said that our whole reliance has to be on God. Because the truth is, I couldn't even scratch one little piece of the surface of it, let alone the whole thing.
Yeah. That's it.
So I join you in being able to, how do I do even my own, let alone all that's been locked in bone by jaw or by fist or by gut in my generations? Here's your call to take your work to the next level.
Right.
Will it be successful? I don't know. It'll change your life. Will it open the space for either or both of them sufficiently for them to move through it? I don't know. I can't control that for them. I can only trust that what they need to do, they're going to do. And if I'm going to trust it, then my trust has to be, well, if he decides to leave his body, then I'll hold him in love and in a blessing, rather than revert to my pain and mistrust. And I can remember when several years ago I was going through some challenging times with my daughter who was doing some alcohol. And there was a point where, I didn't know how to handle it. She had been dating someone who committed suicide, who actually took her out to dinner, and sitting at dinner said, "So we're going to get married now, right?" She was like, "No." She was driving. Sat at dinner with her and said, "If you're not going to marry me, I'm going to commit suicide."
Oh, my God.
After dinner, she drove him home to his house where she dropped him off, and she went home to her house. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, she got a phone call. And he had spread his head with a shotgun all over his backyard.
Oh, my God, Michael.
And my daughter drank.
Yeah.
And there came a point where I had to say to her, "Sweetheart, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I trust what you're doing. And I trust the outcome that you'll create." And now she's happily married with 2 beautiful granddaughters.
Oh, Michael, it's wonderful. Oh, how low we have to go before we can come up.
Yeah. There was a moment where I had to offer her that trust. Everything she was doing, to me was so wrong. But I had to offer her that. And that energetically seems to be the turnaround point now. I wasn't privy, because in that state she wasn't communicating a lot with me. I wasn't privy to everything that was going on in her life and what really happened. But from where I sat in the external, that's where her life turned around, was when I offered her that trust. And
did you offer it wholly? You really offered it? It wasn't just a wonderful thought and intention?
Totally. No. Wholly, totally. I trust that you know what you're doing.
And you said that to her?
It was total. I said that to her. I said it in the context of, I don't agree with what you're doing.
Right.
We've talked about drinking before. But, I trust that you do know what you're doing.
Right.
And now her one daughter, who's now 9, was so excited about being a big sister when her little sister was born in August. About a month ago, when we talked to Adeline, the big sister, who, when the baby was born and smaller, she was changing diapers, and she just loved being a big sister. And we talked to her about, this is 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, she's just a big lump. She doesn't do anything. She's just a lump. It's like, okay, Adeline.
Is that the one who's coming to visit you? Or is that Aria?
No, Ari Rain is here locally.
Yes.
Adeline
yes.
and our new granddaughter, Avery Catherine, are in St. Louis, and we postponed our trip there because of COVID and haven't met our new granddaughter yet.
This is an A-loving family.
Well, I think we're all A-loving families at the deepest levels. And we get to move sometimes to Z-level loving and back to A, and then to C, and then to D. And, it's a practice and it's a work. And if I hold myself to the standard where I have to be perfect at it, then I'm going to fail. If I trust that the standard I'm at is, okay, here's where I'm at today, and I'm ready to be taught, Rook could teach me, then I'll be taught. So I join you in being inspired to do the next piece of work that you have to do that you recognize really hasn't got to do with what's happening with them, but what's happened in your life, and doing the work around that and opening the space on the next level and extending love to all three of them, all four of them, all five of them, your son's son as well.
Right.
To, Luke's father. It was all part of the trauma pattern. He isn't separate from it. And accolades to your daughter for the work she's done and is doing to step up to the plate on that level. That's pretty profound.
She's amazing. She's found her own way being a priest. She is a good priest. She's just so open in so many ways. Even though she's within an institution, she is the kind of priest that will keep and heal the church if it's going to be healed at all. Corrections, refocus.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
It's what we need. Somebody wrote a song about it, I think, something like what the world needs now. And I just sent you that piece.
Thanks.
It's been requested, Michael, that you put it on the WhatsApp, too.
I'm just pushing the button to go to WhatsApp and do exactly that.
Good.
Actually, I think it's there, but a while back
I think you sent it a while back, yeah. Well,
and it's posted
physical
again.
symptoms are weird. You've been talking about my sore left arm, and it's just throbbing. That's new. So whatever
throbbing
you've been
as
saying,
of
pain.
Throbbing as of when did that start? I'm asking.
When you started telling me to go back to.
Awesome. So what you just told me is that the energy involved in what you need to handle is related to your wrist injury and probably what motivated your body to be in the position where that injury could occur. And here you are tapping into the energy that needs to move.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it, but I'm watching. And I'm using the Avicen again.
All of the above, yes. I'd keep the Avicen on both hands if you can do the hand with the wrist injury as well, but do both hands, alternate it.
I've been using just the hurt wrist in there always because it's my left hand, and I like to be able to do things with my right hand, but you're saying I should do both,
I'd alternate them, at least on occasion, yeah. Maybe every third or fourth time, go to the other hand.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for this, Michael and Jeannie.
It's exactly why we're here. And
I feel
I am
as
an
if I don't
appreciation
know
for
what
it.
to do. Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do or how to do it, but I feel hope, and I feel as if you have literally reached out and put a hand on my literal heart.
And maybe there's nothing for you to do but to do your work.
Oh, that's a lot, though.
Yeah. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. How'd that song go? Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in? Miracles, I guess, still happen now and then.
I don't know that song. All of these popular songs.
Waiting just for you, my love. Welcome to my world.
Nice.
Let's see. I think the original version of it came up from Jim Reeves. Let's see how it plays. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't hear anything. Thanks.
No, we're not hearing it.
Michael, thanks for your text. Just got it.
Is the sound coming through?
No, it's not. And we're down to 3 minutes.
Well, then what I'm going to do, Jeannie, is I'm going to come through, and I'm going to play it into your microphone. And let's see. Is it powerful?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, we can do an ad first. It's not, still not coming through. Oh, well.
Okay, my apology. That's not going to work. My apology. That's not going to work. But anyway, you can look it up on YouTube. Jim Reeves, Welcome to My World. Powerful. Sweet. Might even touch your heart. So we're down to the last 2 minutes or so. Any other thoughts for you, young lady?
No, I'm just going to sit with this. Thank you.
Well, we'll be sitting with you, holding the space. And thank you for opening the space for everyone. It's not just for you. And we'll be thinking about Jonathan and Luke. And holding all of you in our hearts.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, young lady, we cherish you, appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. So everybody, we're honored and delighted that you spent this time with us, and all the space for you to have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. The world's in deep need of it, and you can give it to the world.
I choose to live more consciously, evolving continuously.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce and myself, Jeannie Ryce, and Dr. Tim Hayes and Michelle Pichet, as we present the first century Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. We are here for 2 hours every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Mind Shifters Radio. For more information on Aramaic forgiveness, please visit www.whyagain.org. That's www.whyagain.org.